Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Jake's Take with Jacob Elyachar Podcast. I'm your host, Jacob Elyachar, the chief content producer and writer of jakestake.com, a pop culture entertainment news website. There are no words to describe how much joy I'm seeing to my friend on my right. He and I known each other for almost 8 to 9 years, and he's a New York Times bestselling author, the host of the Fit2Fat2Fit Experience podcast. He has over almost 46,000 YouTube subscribers, 190,000 Instagram followers, and 1 million Facebook fans. He's one of the top fitness entrepreneurs and top keto experts. But I'm very honored, and more importantly, my friend, I'm very honored to welcome him back. Welcome him back for the first time on the podcast, Drew Manning.
Jacob, that was the best intro. Thank you, man. I appreciate that.
You're so welcome. Guys, Drew and I have known each other for over 9 years since he began Fit2Fat2Fit.
That's right. It hasn't been 9 years. That's crazy, man.
Yeah, but however, guys, for those of you who haven't, this is actually Drew's first appearance on the podcast. But however, Drew and I have talked last year, so it was 2019. So head over to jakestake.com to read that 2019 interview. So it's been a year since we last talked, Drew. Yeah. So how have you grown as a content creator and a fitness entrepreneur since we last spoke?
Man, I've grown in so many ways, physically, literally. It's been crazy. So 2019 was a really good year for me, but 2020, as we all know, was a really rough year for a lot of people. But 2020 was one of those years where instead of letting it get me down, I decided to force myself into uncomfortable situations to grow as a fitness entrepreneur, as a human. And so I did some hard things. I don't know if you saw my 100-mile run in under 24 hours. This year, I attempted it for my second time because the first year I failed. I didn't get 100 miles, but I learned a lot of valuable lessons. And then this year, I was like, you know what? The pandemic happened. I had to push my race back a few times. I said, you know what? I'm just going to do it here in my own backyard in Utah and just pull the trigger and run 100 miles in under 24 hours. And I did that. So that pushed me mentally, emotionally, physically. Like that was one of the hardest things I've ever been through. And of course, now here we are today. I mean, you can't really see my belly in this video, but if you could, you would see that it's expanding because I'm doing my second Fit2Fat2Fit experiment, which the first one I did in 2011.
Okay, first of all, I am so proud of you for completing that 100 miles because I followed him on his Instagram, guys, and I was just sending you private DMs saying, go, go, go.
Thank you. Yep, and I needed that. I needed all the DMs, all the motivation to push through that because that was one of those things where I didn't know if I could really do it, but that's what's so cool about getting out of your self-limiting beliefs and trying new things to see, you know what, maybe I can do this. Maybe there are some things out there that I never thought I could do that maybe if I train and dedicate the time, maybe I can do some hard things because a lot of times we don't attempt things because we are afraid of failing and, trying and failing. So we kind of stay in the safe zone, right? We stay in the safe zone, the comfort zone of what's safe for us. But man, life is lived outside that comfort zone. I promise you.
Awesome. So August 27th was a day that you relaunched Fit2Fat2Fit. Now this time it's Fit2Fat2Forty. So why did you think this was the time to revisit Fit2Fat2Fit?
Yeah. So back in 2011, when I did it, I was 31 years old. My metabolism was different. My hormones were different. And to be honest with you, not a lot of people followed it as it was happening because social media wasn't what it is today back then. Like there was Facebook, there was no Instagram yet, and there was no live streaming. There was no Insta stories. And so I feel like I almost felt called to do it again in 2020 because of just how crazy this year has been. This year has been a year of radical change. So for me, that means the world is changing whether we like it or not. And we're changing, hopefully, in the right direction, but we have to go through some hard times, first. And so I felt called to do this again a second time in 2020 because I turned 40 this year. December 27th is my 40th birthday. And I thought, you know what, why not do this again? Because here's the thing this time around, Jacob. Last time I did it because I didn't understand what it was like to be overweight because I had always been in shape. And I was so humbled from that first experience. And I realized just how wrong I was in my approach to helping people, and my perspective totally shifted. And now I have so much more empathy for those that struggle. I see 2020, as a world, we lack empathy for each other. We're so quick to judge people on social media. We're so quick to judge people based off their political affiliation, off of one post, off of a t-shirt they wear, off of whatever it is, we're so quick to judge and there's no empathy. And so I wanted to bring empathy to the fitness industry, because that's another industry that lacks empathy, because people who have larger bodies or struggle with weight loss or struggle with transformation, they're judged. They're labeled as lazy. They're labeled as weak, no discipline, no willpower. And they're kind of put down in our society. And I don't think that's fair. And so this time around, I'm doing it to spread the message of empathy and the importance of having empathy, especially in the fitness industry. And so my hope is that doing it again as a 40-year-old will hopefully teach me a lot of lessons, but also people that are in their 30s, 40s, and 50s and are getting older will be inspired and motivated to join me on the journey back to fit, but also to spread that message of empathy in the fitness industry, but also hopefully it'll carry over into other areas of people's lives.
Awesome. So how is Fit2Fat2Forty different than the original challenge so far?
Yeah. So, I'm about 6 weeks into this journey. And it's harder than I remember it being, especially on the mental and emotional level. So how is it different? There's a couple of things. One, I'm doing it for 4 months this time instead of 6 months. And the reason I switched it up is because on my TV show, back in 2015, 2016, we had 2 seasons of Fit2Fat2Fit on A&E. That was the format we chose to do on the TV show. 4 months of gaining weight, 4 months of losing weight. And I felt like that was a better format because it wasn't, I just decided to do the 4 months just because that's the way we did on the TV show. So that's what's different this time around. But also I have a film crew with me, following me around, documenting the whole thing. Hopefully our goal is to make a documentary out of this. So hopefully Netflix is listening and they'll actually pick this up, but we'll see. And then also I wanted it to be more educational. So I'm working with more doctors, more mental health professionals, a sexual doctor. She's a sex expert, to really educate the masses on how this lifestyle affects you more than just weight gain or fat gain. I wanted people to see how it affects me mentally, emotionally, how it affects my relationship with my daughters, who are 9 and 11 now, versus back in the day. Yeah, back in the day, they were just, newborns almost. And then also I have a girlfriend now. I was married back then. I'm divorced. And so I wanted to show people more of how this affects our family dynamics. And so that's what's different this time around.
All righty. So what are some of the challenges that you are facing throughout this process? And how do you think you're going to overcome those obstacles this time around?
Oh, Jacob, this is hard, man. It's so much harder than people think it is. And it's harder than I remember it being, because of how mental and emotional this transformation is. People think, oh, you get to eat all the junk food all day long and you don't have to exercise. And like, man, that must be fun. It is not fun to treat your body this way, because it carries over into other aspects of your life. Let me kind of paint a picture for you, Jacob, and everyone listening. When you eat this food, okay, it affects other things in your life, like your sleep. And so when your sleep is affected and you're not sleeping as efficiently throughout the night, we all know what it's like to feel sleep deprived for a night or two. But to continue that throughout, your hormones start to shift. So I'm crying during commercials. I'm more emotional now. I'm less patient with my daughters. I'm not as nice as I used to be. I can definitely feel things changing inside of me that I kind of had no control over. And this is what I want people to be aware of, is like, when you eat this food, if all it did was just make you gain fat, that would be awesome. But when your hormones are changed, you're a different person. When your sleep is affected, you're a different person. Your energy levels are different throughout the day. You're feeling lethargic, is going to be there, which means you're less motivated to maybe do chores around the house, or maybe spend time with your kids. Maybe you're not as motivated to, clean the house or deal with stress. My ability to handle stress is not what it used to be, Jacob. And so that's what I want people to notice, is like, eating this way doesn't just affect your waist, the size of your waist. It affects you up here way more than you think. So for me, the hardest part has been eating the food constantly, not feeling good throughout the day, trying to still be a dad, still be a good boyfriend, still be an entrepreneur, like show up the best I can when I'm not really the best version of myself. It's really hard. And I still have,
it's tough around. And here's another thing that's going to make things tougher.
Yeah.
Or easier, depending on the way you look at it. We mentioned previous in our conversation about social media. You mentioned that Facebook was dominant, was the only one that we saw last time around. But however, now we have Twitch, we have TikTok, we have Instagram, YouTube, Twitter. So now these stories. How is social media being played a role in Fit2Fat2Forty?
Yeah. So I'm trying to put as much out there on social media as I can, so people can really see a day in the life of what it's like to do what I'm doing. So, I'm doing a few Facebook lives per week, Instagram lives. I'm on TikTok now, trying to make creative TikToks, to keep people engaged on there. YouTube as well, LinkedIn, all the platforms. I have my podcast still. So putting it out there on all the platforms is way more time consuming than what it was back then. Back then, I would do a Facebook post, maybe a picture or a little video of what I was doing, or like a little description of what I'm eating. That's all I had to do. So post 2-3 times a day on one platform. Now I'm having to post 2-3 times a day on every single platform and then respond to people's comments because I have way more followers now versus I did back then. So to be honest with you, that adds more stress into my life because I have to spend more time on social media, which honestly, it takes away from being present as a dad, being present as a boyfriend. And there's been some issues, to be totally honest with you, between me, my girlfriend, me and my daughters, where I'm like on my phone and I don't mean to be, but it is kind of, I'm trying to find that balance where I'm on my phone way more than I normally am. And so, yeah, that's another challenge to overcome.
I'm glad you brought up the Fit2Fat2Fit experience. So what have been some of your favorite conversations that you had on that podcast?
Oh, man, I've had so many friends and, celebrities on there, from Heidi and Chris Powell, who had the TV show Extreme Weight Loss. They're still good friends of mine. Sean T, his was one of the most popular downloaded episodes on there. Lots of other doctors and health professionals. The thing I like to do differently, Jacob, on my podcast is not just talk about macros and calories and how to lose weight and how to get fit and how to get a six pack. I think that's what people want. But what I learned from Fit2Fat2Fit is how much of transformation is mental and emotional. So sometimes some of the experts I have on there are talking about how to heal addiction, how to heal trauma, and how that carries over into the food you eat, and making people more self-aware of, you're not just eating this food just because it tastes good. There's definitely a biological response, but there's also a psychological response to certain foods, whether it's food or drugs or alcohol for some people. So my Fit2Fat2Fit Experience podcast has been, a huge wide variety of people from all walks of life, so that people listening have different tools to help them navigate this life we're in. And sometimes, Jacob, this life can be really hard, not just physically, not just mentally, emotionally, spiritually. Like, we all have challenges. I don't care who you are, where you're from. We all have challenges, and it can be really hard for some of us to overcome those. And that's why I'm trying to provide as many tools as possible, on that platform.
And also, I want to congratulate you. 5th anniversary season on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. So how has the Fit Fat Experience podcasting allowed you to showcase your work over more traditional media outlets such as the talk shows or magazines?
It's definitely different because I get to be myself. If any of you listen to Joe Rogan, there's a reason people listen to Joe Rogan. There's a reason people wanted him to do the debates, right? We all saw people calling for Joe Rogan instead of Chris Wallace to do the debates, because it's real. It's a real conversation. You get to be you. When I go on TV, they're like, all right, you got 30 seconds to respond to this, hit these talking points really fast, but there's no banter back and forth. And I'm like, okay, I'll try my best to fit it into this little, time frame. But on the podcast, we can just be real. Like you and I, Jacob, we're having a conversation as if we were there in person. I think that's what gravitates people to the podcast world is they don't want a scripted thing like they see on the news. They don't want a scripted reality TV show. They want real conversations, because that's how we really talk. When we're in person, that's how we talk. We don't read a script in front of each other. And so that's what, for me, podcasting does. And that's what I think intrigues so many people to listen to it.
I love podcasting. And this is the first time I'm heading towards my first anniversary podcasting. And I've been loving every single minute of it.
Congrats. That's awesome. Keep going. Because that's the thing is, like, this is almost like a journal for you, Jacob, to be able to go back and be like, wow, I interviewed this person, that person. I learned this from this person. I learned that from that person. So it's as a podcast host, it's just as much for you as it is for people listening.
And it's been an amazing year for me. And I got to talk to Brandon Leak almost 24 hours after he won America's Got Talent.
Wow.
And then Rob Sesternino, one of my role models when it comes to podcasting for the first time. And then plus like a lot of alumni from AGT, including the clairvoyants, who actually did a mental trick from I'm in New York and they were in Austria. So those are some of the highlights.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, congratulations. Keep it up.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Drew. All righty. So let's get back on track. So I've always done my research with all my guests, and I went back to your website, and you started the complete keto coaching program. Yeah. And how long did it take you and your team to create this program, and how does it stand out against other programs in the fitness industry?
Thanks for letting me talk about that. I appreciate that. This has been about a year in the making. Well, actually a little bit longer than that. I've had the idea to do something like this. I just didn't have the right people in place to help me do it, because all the stuff was up here and I had no idea how to get it from up here to an online coaching platform. And so I had a team in place finally to help me get it from here to online. And here's the thing with the keto coaching, my Fit2Fat2Fit keto coaching. Ever since I did Fit2Fat2Fit, ever since the TV show aired, I've had so many people ask, where can I find a Fit2Fat2Fit trainer like you that leads with empathy, that has an understanding on the mental and emotional side of transformation? They don't want just your typical trainer with six-pack abs that's never been overweight a day in their life. What do they know about that person's life and how hard it is mentally and emotionally to struggle with food addiction, for example? They want someone that they feel is going to lead with empathy, because no one cares how much you know until they know how much you care first. And then that's why I created this curriculum. I've wanted to for years, but finally was able to do it. So my Fit2Fat2Fit complete keto coaching program is for other people that want to become coaches, that know how to lead with empathy, and that understand the mental and emotional side of transformation. So we're not just giving people, okay, here's how to get a six-pack, here's what diet to do, here's what exercises to do to help that person get skinny. That's a part of it, but the most important part, what separates it from every other coaching program out there, is these coaches are equipped with tools on the mental and emotional side to help someone overcome their mental and emotional challenges, like emotional eating and addiction and past trauma and these kinds of things that keep people back from feeling worthy to live a healthy lifestyle consistently. And this is why I'm trying to disrupt the fitness industry and create a new breed of trainers and coaches so that they lead with empathy first. And that's what my motto is empathy first, especially in this industry. And so I need a new army of trainers and coaches that understand that, so that we can then go make a difference in the fitness industry. And so come 2021, when I start to lose the weight, Jacob, and I know people are going to ask me questions and want help on how to follow the meal plans, how to do the workouts, how to do keto, all that stuff. And I don't have the time, the bandwidth to take on millions of people and their questions. So this is why I'm looking for coaches that want to join my team, that want to represent the Fit2Fat2Fit brand and become part of this movement, to create a new breed of coaches in this industry. And I feel like that's how we're really going to disrupt it and make a true change in 2021. So that's available now on my website. If you guys want to go check that out, it just says become a coach, and we're taking applications now.
Awesome. And if there's one person that can disrupt this entire fitness industry, you're one of them, Drew. I know in my being that you are going to be able to get that. And I hope that you get some people, because I can think of some people in mind for you of who I believe would be perfect for you to join the Fit2Fat2Fit family.
Okay, you send them over. I would love that. Thank you.
I will do that later. So anyway, let's talk about, we have only 3 more questions to go. Okay. So what are your favorite social media platforms to Facebook, Instagram, Twitter? I know you mentioned TikTok, and why do they stand out?
I would say right now it's Instagram. But what's so funny, Jacob, is back in 2011, I was like, Instagram, this is so stupid. I already have Facebook. What's the point of having Instagram? And then slowly but surely I started to fall in love with it. And what's so interesting is I remember seeing TikTok come out. I'm like, oh, here we go again. Another little kids platform where people are dancing. I'm like, it's so dumb. And then I heard Gary Vee talk about, hey, watch out for TikTok. This is something that might blow up. Just like, people made fun of Instagram. And I'm like, okay, fine, I'll start an account. So I started an account, and my daughters, they love TikTok. And so they're like, Daddy, start an account, and like, do this dance with me. I'm like, okay, fine, we'll see what happens. And before you know it, it started to grow. So Instagram's still my number one. I love Instagram. Facebook is where I have most followers because I've been on that the longest. But Instagram is growing pretty rapidly, and TikTok is growing pretty rapidly. And I do like TikTok. I just don't do a lot of the dances. I do those every once in a while. My girlfriend and my daughters, they love to dance. For me, I need a push sometimes to do dances on there. But you'll see me dancing a little bit. but it's all entertaining. It's all fun. There's different demographics in each platform, and it's about knowing your audience and how to connect with them. And so all of them can be fun.
Awesome. So why should my audience follow your Fit2Fat2Forty journey?
There's something for everyone on this journey, Jacob. So whether you want to lose weight, whether you want to get healthier, whether you want to shift your mindset, whether you want to geek out on all the scientific stuff that I'm posting on my, that's happening inside of my body and outside of my body, there's something for everyone. And here's the thing. In 2021, I think a lot, especially January, the first Monday of 2021, January 4th, what's going to happen? We know everyone's going to want to do something new, do something different. They want to get rid of 2020. And my challenge is for everyone listening to join me on that journey back to fit. Let's do this together. I will show you the ways. I'll hold your hand every step of the way. You'll be able to receive all the physical stuff, the meal plans, the recipes, the workouts, all that stuff for free. So you can see exactly what I'm doing. And then we could do this journey together. But also you'll get help on the mental and emotional side to overcome those challenges. You'll learn from me how to do just that so that you can make this a true lifestyle change. And I know that we're all going to want to start off 2021 on the right foot. We're going to want to get rid of 2020 and how hard it was. So my challenge is to say, let's do this together as a team, as a community, and there's power in that. And so that's why I want people to join me on that journey.
Awesome, Drew. Now, where can my audience find you on the web and connect with you on social media?
Yeah, it's really simple. So my website is fit2fat2forty.com. So it's either 40 or FORTY, however you spell it or want to put it in there. Fit2fat2forty.com to sign up. It's absolutely free. All the information is on there. You'll see my weekly transformations. And then all my social media is all the same. It's super simple. It's fit2fat2fit. And that's Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, all of them. It's all the same.
Alrighty, guys. Now, to download more episodes of the Jake's Take with Jacob Elyachar podcast, head to Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, and Spreaker. Just type in Jake's Take with Jacob Elyachar, JACOB podcast. We've had an incredible year so far. We've had America's Got Talent winner Brandon Leak. We've had Big Brother legend Rachel Riley. We've had Survivor legend Ethan Zahn. And we had so many incredible conversations, and you can check them all out on the podcast. And also, subscribe to my social media channels, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube. It's Jacob Elyachar, JACOB Elyachar. Once again, JACOB Elyachar. Now, if you guys want to see all my past interviews with Drew, head over to jakestake.com. Once again, jakes-take.com. And also make sure you check out my 2016 interview, because that's when I drove from my hometown of Kansas City of Overland Park to meet with Drew in Missouri when he was guest speaking. So it was quite a journey, but I was so happy to see him. Drew, of all the people I've interviewed in the fitness industry and all the people that have been on the podcast in the Jake's Take franchise for over 9 years, you are one of my favorite people, and you've been so inspirational for people around the world, and I'm so grateful that we're friends.
Thank you, brother, and I appreciate you as well, and you driving out to meet me meant a lot. That was really cool. So make sure people go check that out. That was really nice of you. So stay in touch, pray for me, and we'll talk soon.
Alrighty, guys, thank you for watching, and thank you for listening, and we will see you very soon.